Is this my real life? Is this just fantasy? Curry that's healthy. Well, let's get takeaway from the key.
Hang on. We've already done this one. Welcome to the new jackfruit.
Beardy.
Okay, feedback on the vindaloo was it was a bit too jackfruity, and that's fair enough. I think that's probably my fault there, because all I did was I took a meat dish and I replaced the meat with jackfruit. And that was always my problem when I ate a lot more meat with meat curries. It was all just too meaty. So, new dish for this week is a Simla dish, which is traditionally cooked with pork, potatoes and sweet peppers. And of course here I've replaced the pork with jackfruit. Now this is a bit of a problem, of course, because there aren't really any jackfruit recipes out there that I'm aware of for curries, but I certainly have a plethora of meat curry recipes from back in the day. So it's quite a pleasure to revisit those recipes now with a new pair of eyes, replacing one with the other. Here's how it looks. Okay, I've just got my coconut oil heating up now. I'm going to throw in the whole spices and I'll give you a look. Now the only unusual one here, we've got bay, we've got dried chilli, we've got mustard seeds. The only unusual one which you might not have seen before is kalonji, also known as nigella seeds. I think they're onion seeds. You get them a lot in Middle Eastern cooking and Greek cooking. I always think of them as the samosa spice. The black seeds that you see in the pastry of samosas, that's generally kalonji, and also another one, but we'll come on to that, another dish. Anyway, oil's plenty hot, in they go. And now our mustard's popping, in go our onions. I've kept them quite chunky this time, my onions, so nice to have a bit of a variety and texture of them. Normally I shred them because they bed down better, particularly in things like dal, things that you want smooth. But this is quite a chunky curry, so it requires chunky onions. A couple of grains of salt to help them brown. And now they're coming to golden, and go some ginger and garlic. And once their raw smell go, I'm going to be putting in some curry leaves along with a split green chilli. Now I'd normally put in fresh curry leaves, but I've run out. But fortunately, I dried some out from my last batch, so in they go. And now the curry leaves have curled and that green chilli's just started to take on some colour. Tomatoes with also a pinch of asafoetida. And this tomatoey masala is just maturing nicely now. It's more of a challenge without the original amount of oil, as it happens. The traditional recipe calls for 125 ml of oil, that's 1 cup of oil. I've reduced that to 15 ml, so that's nearly a tenth of the original requirement, which does make it more of a challenge in terms of sticking to the pan and that depth and richness and smoothness of flavour. But it reduces the calories and of course the Syns for you slimming worlders out there massively, as you can imagine. I've done my maths on this one, and the Syns, I believe, should be around about 3 Syns per portion, which really isn't half bad. That's just from the oil, that's 3 teaspoons, 1 tablespoon as I say, and the jackfruit also works out at about a Syn a piece. So 2 Syns for your oil, 1 Syn for your jackfruit. And that masala is looking mature, so in goes our jackfruit. Now that's been marinated for a goodly long while. It certainly works with the pork, we'll see if it works with the jackfruit as well. I'll run the marinade up the side now. Oh, it certainly smells the business. Now, as you'll have seen, that marinade includes lemon juice. That's normally to tenderise the meat. Marinating meat is often largely to tenderise it, but I've left it in. You need an acid to help break down those fats. Obviously not an issue here, but I've left it in to give it that sharp tang to the sauce as well. And now that my jackfruit's nicely mixed in go my spuds and my peppers. Oh, it's gonna be a squeeze. Now I've kept these nice and big because we are going to be cooking this for a good while, a good half an hour, maybe even 40 minutes. And I don't want them to fall to pieces. And I'm just turning the heat down there, putting a lid on there. I'm going to simmer that for a short while just to release some of the liquid from those peppers in particular, because that will help with the consistency of the sauce. And that veg is bedding down nicely now. We're getting some of that moisture from the peppers already. And let's help that along a bit now. In with water, half teaspoon of salt, and a fair old whack of pepper. And I love cooking with pepper in Indian food. It makes it feel more traditional because up to no more than about 300 years ago, black pepper was the only warming ingredient that was available over there until chilies were imported, I think originally from China. I might be making that bit up, but certainly up until surprisingly recently, chilies were not a thing in India. So, cover that back up, keep the heat low, and then leave that to do its work. And that's bedded down nicely. Now you'll notice, although I've cooked this for around 40 minutes now, that's just some garam masala going in, by the way, the veg hasn't fallen. That's because, I forgot to mention, I put the salt in before they cooked, really, and that really helps stop vegetables and also beans from falling. Generally I cook beans unsalted because you do often want them to fall, and the thing with beans is they end up getting a hard skin because the salt sucks the moisture out of the casings of them. But here I wanted to keep my vegetables whole, and it's worked a treat. It's still kept a lot of its vibrancy, a lot of its colour as well, which I'm really pleased with. And there we go, Simlai Jackfruit. And for the purposes of this dish, I might rename myself 10th Ghee, at a tenth of the fat. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.
Beardy, why are your eyebrows blue?
What?
Oh, Beardy, Beardy, shape the confidence, shape the confidence.